Hey, this is Calvin Parker. You're listening to the Unbelievers podcast.
There were several groups. One of the principal ones was the reptilians from the Orion complex.
Without any exaggeration, it was like being on fire inside.
Rats were eating you up inside.
This stuff was in my mouth. It felt like it was 500 degrees. It was unbelievably hot.
My first question would be, were you a member of the Church of Satan, a card-carrying member of the Church of Satan?
I don't understand.
There's always an argument for everything, you know? Just because somebody can fake something doesn't necessarily mean it's
war, and we found a life form. And that's when I started shitting my pants.
So for the person who called, I am carrying an alien.
An alien baby. We covered right here, okay?
Okay.
Something is happening. What is it? That's the question. So do UFOs exist? It depends on what you mean exist.
The world of unbelievable and unidentified cryptids is littered with tiny creatures that defy conventional knowledge. Beings such as fairies, brownies, sprites, gnomes, leprechauns, pukwudgies, and of course, the little old man of Japan. But what about mysterious beings that are really, really big? Tonight, the Unbelievers podcast blasts into 2024 with an all-new episode of epic proportions as we tackle the myths and folklore surrounding the original big bads of the ancient world that still may be a huge threat to this very day. So, join us now as we plant our magic beans and load up our slingshots for the towering terrors of times past and present. It's Giants. Right here in the program, we continue to learn to unlearn everything you know. Hello and welcome to the Unbelievers podcast. I'm Rus Ryan, and joining me as always is Drea Mora. Hello, Drea.
Hello.
And of course, soundboard engineer and producer, Rob Okey.
This body was huge.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up?
Hello, Rob. Hello, Drea. And hello, Unbelievers. Welcome to our inaugural episode for 2024. Not really taking much of a break, which is cool, but I'm happy to be here for an all-new fun-ass topic.
Yeah. 2024, we're kicking down your door. The Unbelievers are back, motherfuckers.
I wanted you to keep rhyming, but I think it's best that we didn't.
I'm not a poet, and I'm not a rapper, but I can rhyme one sentence really, really well.
That worked. That worked really well.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
You nailed it. You're 1 for 1 in 2024 already. That's a trend. Look for every episode. Rob's going to drop a new rhyme. You know, I not expected sometime. Coming
in real hot.
Anyway, talking about coming in hot and talking about Rob. Rob, you are coming in hot at the Unbelievers podcast this year. So start it off.
Yeah, man. I decided that I was going to hijack the podcast this week.
Finally.
You know, Russ does so much work on this show. He's made 174 episodes. Yeah, Dre and I help. We do things. But Russ does a lot of work. So just start off 24 with a little props to Russ. Let's throw Russ a little props here just to get it going. So
about time. We have to hit 175 episodes. I'll take it. But no, yes, continue.
Yes, of course.
So yes, more praise, please.
So props to Russ for making all these episodes. I'm taking control this week. I'm going to give him a break. I am the captain now. And you guys ready to do this? You ready?
Captain Rob.
All right, let's do it. What are we doing?
All right. I know I've been talking about doing this for a long time. It's been a while. It's finally time, though. The listeners have no idea, probably, what I'm talking about. They're probably thinking, Rob, he's a UFO guy. He always says how much he loves the silly ones. He likes the alien fucking episodes, you know. So this is probably one of those. And you're not wrong. This is definitely sort of an alien episode. But what it actually is, it's a Giants episode. So let's get into the Giants.
Big dogs, yeah, we stepping through. Big business on schedule. Big dreams on my pedestal. Big cribs, I'm a Nephilim. Loud noises, I'm a setting them. Big dinners is a festival. Leave a real big mess for them. Stepping on them like a Nephilim. Big dogs, yeah, we stepping through. Big business on schedule. Big dreams on my pedestal. Big cribs, I'm a Nephilim. Loud noises, I'm a setting them. Big dinners is a festival. Leave a real big mess for them. Stepping on them like a Nephilim. I'm gonna live 1,000 years.
Okay, let's get into it. That was Donnie Arcade with Nephilim.
What about
he's stepping on him like a Nephilim. I love it. It's a great track. Check him out. But let's get into it. Giants. This one, we're going to talk giants. We're going to talk Nephilim, Titans, and more. But I'll just say it now. I may pronounce this wrong throughout the whole thing. I don't know if it's Nephilim, but who gives a fuck? It's tomato. It really makes no difference. I don't think they're going to get offended if I say it wrong.
Nah.
Yeah.
I think you're good.
I think we're
Rob's from upper New York or whatever. That's his regional term is Nephilim or whatever he just said.
Nephilim.
Technically, I'm from Long Island, so you're right. Yeah, it's true. Now, most people think of stories of giants as nothing more than tall tales. But what if I told you giants were real?
I believe it.
What if? What if giants just went the way of the dinosaur? Maybe they're just extinct, or maybe they're still here. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight.
Finally, the big guys. We talk about so many little cryptids all the time. It's always Pukwudgies, fairies, leprechauns, brownies, the little guy from Japan. The big guys finally could take center stage.
True.
Yeah, man. I don't even know if you could call these guys cryptids, though, because they're just kind of like dudes. They're kind of just like humans. They're just really big ones. But it's more about their bloodline. And to get to that, we need to start at the beginning.
Verse 1. In the beginning, in the beginning, yeah, in the beginning, yeah, in the beginning,
Today, Junior.
In the beginning, that's where we're going to start. And now, technically, the tallest man in history was Robert Wadlow, and he stood at 8 feet 11 inches tall. Just think about that for a second.
Wait, he was Big Rob?
Big Rob, big old Rob. Rob Wadlow, 8 feet 11 inches tall.
That's taller than most ceilings I've had. Yeah,
that's a big dude, and he was born February 22nd, 1918. So this is kind of a ways back, but his height came as the result of pituitary gigantism, which is something that a lot of these people who are very large seem to suffer from. But did you know that Adam himself, of Adam and Eve fame, may have been a giant?
Oh, what?
So Adam was a big guy too?
Okay. I'm so excited to teach you guys about this.
And also, if his name wasn't Rob or something else, they would have said.
Sky News 9 in 1999. Those Robs are huge, man.
Those Robs are huge.
That Rob is huge. Rob, shout outs to Robert Wadlow. He's been dead for a while, but shout outs to him.
But shout outs anyway.
So before I go pissing off literally everyone that's listening to this, I just want to say I'm not a history major. I'm not a Christianity major. I did not go to school for Hebrew studies. I went to Catholic school until 8th grade, and I barely paid attention to anything. So take everything I say today with a grain of salt, but make it a large, giant size.
Well, I'm an expert on all this. I'm ready to just debunk you.
I love it. I love it. And I apologize to anyone in advance that may be offended by anything in this episode. Trust me, this has all been heavily, heavily researched.
In the book of Genesis, it says that the sons of God came into the daughters of men. They created a hybrid offspring who are called the Nephilim, or the fallen ones. They're referred to as the giants, or the mighty ones. And some believe they were between 8 and 15 feet tall.
Yes. So you probably recognize that voice and the tone of what we're listening to. This is Ancient Aliens that I've clipped out here for the first part of this episode.
Yeah, that struggling introduction there where he's talking about they came into them. I didn't think you said that on a History Channel. What the fucking Jesus.
Damn, they just go for it.
Yeah, I didn't even have to clip it because it's the first thing they say. It's just boom.
In the book of Genesis, it says that the sons of God came into the daughters of men.
They just came into them. It's just
I thought the Genesis started with
in the beginning. Yeah,
it did.
In the beginning.
No, you're right. You're right. It did. But this was not a singular event in the overall mythology of giants. Like, this isn't the first time that this sort of thing has been talked about, meaning aliens having sex with humans and breeding giant humanoid offspring. This is something that has been talked about often.
Yeah, it's supposed to be our whole seeding thing.
Yeah, basically, it's the whole seeding thing. But, I can't explain it as well as Eric Van Daniken can, so take it away, Eric.
This is handed down not only in the Bible, this is also handed down in Sumerian languages, that some of the gods had sex with humans and the offsprings were giants. Mythology is full of giants, and we have to look at these old myths with modern languages, change the word of angel into extraterrestrial. In the beginning of time, extraterrestrials had sex with humans, and the product of this sexual contact were giants.
Is it possible that as geneticists continue to decode the human genome, they will find that among our various hominid ancestors is a missing link to enormous beings from another world?
Okay, we get it. The aliens are fucking. We know.
Damn. That's so weird, though, that that's the result, is the giant-sized people, because it seems like neither of the parties engaging in the sex were all that gigantic.
Well, the Nephilim are supposed to be pretty big guys, right? Like, as far as aliens go, or they're angels.
The Nephilim are big, yeah. They don't really describe what the angels look like very much. They kind of keep that sort of open to interpretation. But
maybe, yeah, it must be the angels that are gigantic.
I think the angels are probably big. I have a feeling that they might have been like tall grays, possibly.
Big boys.
You know, maybe just some big boys. Who knows? But
right, like when Ben Affleck was an alien, he's a pretty tall dude, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Damon, not so much.
But you heard him. The secret lies in the DNA.
So these angels and they all have DNA. So they're real. They're not just magical beings. They have actual physical scientific DNA.
Yeah, technically. I mean, if aliens have DNA, then angels do too, because angels and aliens are the same thing, is what they're telling us.
Angels use DNA. They're just...
they don't. It's not about them needing it. It's just they do have it. It's like saying like, well, we don't need blood or bones. We just have them.
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Drea gets it. Okay, so
back off. I am a scientist.
But anyway, let's hear about this DNA.
Ancient DNA is perhaps, for me, the most important area of study in all of my work, because there is the potential chance here that we could find direct evidence of the ancestors of modern humans. I suspect we'll find lineages of a race of giants.
Could it be that just like some humans have traces of Neanderthal DNA, there could still be similar traces of alien human giants that scientists have yet to discover? Ancient astronaut theorists believe the answer is a profound yes, and suggest further insights could be revealed in early Judaic texts, which give a curious description of the world's first man, otherwise known as Adam.
Oh, okay.
What's up, Adam?
Yeah, Adam has entered the chat. They do a great job. Ancient Aliens does a great job here of setting all this up and kind of
do they?
breaking
Yeah,
it down.
Of course, now they mentioned Von Däniken came on in that second clip. I guess the first clip as well. And yeah, he's the author of Chariots of the Gods. He's kind of started this whole thing a long time ago. I don't know, the book was written in the 70s or 60s. I know I read that very early on, looking into UFOs as a young lad. And this whole concept, has pretty much spawned. This is like if you look at Ancient Aliens as like some kind of serialized thing, even though they go everywhere, they talk about anything. They have a whole Bigfoot series. They fucking talk about everything. If there's one through line, is Eric Von Däniken and angels fucked people and they're whatever aliens did. That is the whole through line of that show.
It is exactly. You nailed it on the head. And now the Bible doesn't actually mention any of the physical attributes of Adam, which if he was a giant, you would think like maybe mention that.
Yeah. Right.
But that's including his height. But the book of Enoch, which is not part of the Bible, so it's not official canon. Can't actually say it's part of the canon. But the book of Enoch mentions the great height of the first men. But
okay. That's interesting. Do they say anything about how tall Eve is?
Eve was pretty big too, they say. They say that they were both big, but Adam bigger. That's why we're talking about Adam right now.
That's why she was like, oh, hello.
Yeah, exactly. But let's let them boys break it down for us because they're really good at it.
The Book of Genesis, Chapter 6. Placed just after the story of creation and the generations of Adam and Eve. This section of the Hebrew Bible contains a curious passage.
There is a very interesting teaching in older Kabbalistic traditions that dates back to temple times. Legend states that Adam originally was, by our definition, a giant. That the original Adamic race was not of the same physical stature as we human beings are today. Some claim that the original Adamic race were giants. Is this a legend of symbolism, or is there something actual to it?
We'll say most likely, yes, Adam bred a tribe of giants who were banished from paradise for fruit consumption.
This is a
That's
little
what they
confusing.
get for being too tall.
It's a little confusing because technically, if Adam was a giant and we are all offspring of Adam, then aren't we all giants?
No, because we're not like big.
We're not big, but like we have giant blood in us.
We have giant hearts, maybe.
Some people.
We're giant where it counts.
Some people.
That's what I'm saying. And yeah, what did they have giant apples too? What's going on in this paradise? I guess.
All right, now
apples?
You're asking too many questions now.
Oh man, how many questions are we allowed? This sucks.
Only one.
Okay.
Let's look deeper into this though.
Was the biblical Adam a giant? Could it be that all of humanity is descended from a race that was of a much greater stature? And that there was a time on Earth when giants were prevalent and humans were the anomaly?
So now they're posing the question, was there a time on Earth when there was more giants than humans? Which...
That is a good question. I don't mind that.
It's a bold question, for sure.
Right, like, because, if there's any race that would have prospered over another, of course, the little guys. This isn't Gulliver's Travels. Like, we're not like tying down big guys and doing things. Is that why the human race survived? We're like ants to them?
Yeah, we better tie this guy down or else he's just going to keep thinking he's better than us.
Well, I'll answer.
This is like the whole 20 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck or whatever kind of thing.
We'll get there.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Don't worry. We'll get there. But I mean, to his question, I'll just throw a big maybe out there because who really fucking knows?
Yeah, who knows? And honestly, who cares? All that matters is right now, we're definitely the coolest, human-looking things on the planet. So.
I have a hard time wrapping my head around the idea that there was more giants on the planet than normal-sized humans at one point. But we'll just let it slide. Because it's ancient aliens.
Maybe it was just 5 regular sized people. And so there were 10 giants.
It just doesn't make...
It wasn't by a lot, probably.
If they outnumbered us, then why hide it? Why keep it a secret? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, anyway, why are you so scared? You're giant.
We'll keep going here with ancient aliens. We'll keep it going.
When we look at the modern evolutionary cycle for human beings, it's still put on the shoulders of Darwinistic views. So anything that steps outside of those viewpoints is usually greatly challenged. Mainstream science has had a very hard time wrapping their head around the idea that there could have been a lost race, part extraterrestrial, part human.
In mythology, the giants were a fact. They did exist. What we are missing are the bones of giants. From time to time, anthropologists found some big bones. But then other anthropologists contradicted it. But definitely giants did exist in the past. And they were the result of a mixture between extraterrestrials and humans.
We got it.
Wow. Definitive. Okay.
Definitive. 100%. The key to all of this, you know what it is?
Big bones.
Big bones.
Big bones.
Big old bones.
I'm not going to lie. When he first said it, I thought he said big balls. But big bones is definitely, it's still funny.
Big bones.
To hear.
The way he says it too is really funny. Big bones.
Yeah.
I love it. It's great. Yeah.
I'm into it.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And there should be some of these bones floating around, right? These big bones. We should be able to find some of these big, if they
he has a lot of
outnumbered us.
confidence. He has a lot of confidence for guys like, there's no bones out there. This Darwin guy's a hack. He doesn't know anything about giants or anything. They're just debunking us left and right.
I know. You could feel his eyes rolling when he said Darwinism. It's so ridiculous. But
this motherfucker, Darwin.
This other shit makes way more sense. Ancient Aliens makes way more sense than anything Darwin ever said.
We love the conclusions that they jump to. They make such huge leaps, and it's fun. And
we
love to be there right with them.
How many seasons does Darwin have on History Channel?
3.
Probably 1.
It got canceled. Immediately got canceled.
It only got the pilot.
Ancient Darwins.
We're winding down with our ancient alien friends, though. Here we got other stuff to talk about, but let's see what else they have to say.
Do incredible megalithic structures, curious religious traditions repeated in culture after culture, and reports of enormous human remains represent the remnants of a lost civilization of giants? And if so, could these enormous beings have actually had a hand in the creation of humankind? Perhaps one day soon, conclusive evidence of the link between humans and giants will finally come to light. And we will discover that within the mythological tales of our ancestors lies the true history of the human race.
All right, guys. So now you know the true history of the human race, or perhaps someday soon we will all learn that.
We can only hope.
That guy is, at least if he's nothing, he's hopeful. He's like, we're gonna find out. I got a pretty strong hunch, and we're not gonna stop believing.
Yeah, you could tell. Stop. You could tell by the ubiquitous narrator of Ancient Aliens that this is a real thing. These giants are out there. We're gonna learn about this soon. Just wait until we figure it out.
God, if we could just get some more patience, because I don't know, man. I'm running out of time. I need to know.
Well, thankfully, I did some more research for you. So I've got some more stuff. All this, they're talking about the Book of Enoch. I wasn't really very familiar with the Book of Enoch before I started working on this episode. So I'm going to break down the Book of Enoch real quick for the listeners. In the Book of Enoch, Enoch speculated that Adam and Eve were both 15 feet tall because they lived in the Garden of Eden before the flood.
Holy shit.
So those are some tall people, 15 feet tall.
Well, those just like super fortified with vitamins, all the food in that garden.
Things were just bigger.
It was probably to scale. That's why I was asking about how big is that apple. Like, I'm thinking the garden is to scale at the time.
How big was that snake?
It was a big snake. It was like a big
ass
anaconda.
Snake. Yeah, he really was. So meanwhile, Islamic traditions and texts say that Adam was 90 feet tall. So
that's too much.
Wait, we just did giant worms too. So let's just keep that in mind.
I know. We're talking giant humanoids. We're keeping it to humanoids in this one, but I'm just calling it giants. You could even call this an angels episode at this point, I feel like. But we're calling it a giants. We're calling it a giants episode. In the Hebrew Bible, the Nephilim are a group of mysterious beings or people of unusually large size and strength who lived both before and after the flood of Noah. But speaking of the Book of Enoch, you might be wondering, who the fuck is Enoch?
Yeah. Who's that guy?
Because I was. Enoch was actually Adam's great grandson, and he was Noah's great grandfather. So
he's like the connection. Wasn't he like a prophet and stuff? And
yeah, that's what the Book of Enoch actually is. It's his writings.
I did not realize that.
He becomes the father of Methuselah, who was the longest living man.
Yes, Bart Simpson's oldest friend in that Simpsons episode, played by Grandpa Simpson.
Methuselah was one of only 2 people who were taken straight to heaven in the Bible. He didn't have to die. He just got escorted straight to heaven.
Oh, wow.
Which is pretty cool.
Lucky.
That's what they say about like the nicest old people too. Like, oh, she's going straight to heven.
Straight to heaven.
Like, she's no Methuselah. Calm down.
Yeah. So Methuselah escaped death altogether. And Enoch lived for 365 years.
He had a good run. He had a good run.
He was an old dude. But Methuselah lived to be 969. So
dang.
If this is a competition, Methuselah won.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, what a boomer.
He's like a vampire. Like I'm surprised there isn't like a Methuselah Hunter movies or something at this point.
There probably is. Look harder.
Shit, he went straight to heaven. I knew he'd go there. That's where we can find him.
That's where we'll lay a trap. Yeah.
As far as the Book of Enoch goes, though, according to Wikipedia, the Book of Enoch is an ancient Hebrew apocalyptic religious text ascribed by tradition to the patriarch Enoch, who was the father of Methuselah, the longest living man, and a great-grandfather to Noah. The Book of Enoch contains unique material on the origins of demons and Nephilim, why some angels fell from heaven, and an explanation of why the Genesis flood was morally necessary. 3 books are traditionally attributed to Enoch, including the distinct works 2 Enoch and 3 Enoch. None of the 3 books are considered to be canonical scripture by any of the majority of Jewish or Christian churches. And I know that's just sounds like a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo history talk.
That's really interesting. It really is.
But this is where
it's a bummer for Enoch. He lived a long time. He saw a lot. He was really important in the bloodline of giants
and everyone's just like, well, fuck me then. All right.
Exactly. Well, this is where it gets interesting, though, I think. There's a term heard frequently throughout the book of Enoch, which is the Watchers. And the Watchers are a group of figures described as angels sent to Earth to watch over humans.
Shit. Well, who watches the Watchers, though?
Right.
That's the same thing. A lot of the abductees we've talked about, like think about Jim Sparks. He talked about the Watchers. And stuff like that. A lot of abductees when they get that religious angle. I'm sure Bledsoe's mentioned it allegedly, but I'll just put that out there.
Yeah. And in the book of Enoch, it tells the story of 200 Watchers who commit sins by marrying human women and having children with them. So I can see the connections.
Sinful.
Sounds very similar to what we were just talking about.
Yeah, this is all very eye-opening because I have not read any of this book of Enoch. I've heard of it, hadn't looked into it, and this seems like a lot of the I don't know, what is it? What's the word? Like not confidential, but just the whole like no, don't read that. Yeah, no, this is forbidden knowledge.
No, I do like your breakdown though, because a lot of people will throw that out there when, especially think of a lot of like Coast to Coast guests, and of course Ancient Aliens and other shows are always like, and, these are the things from the Book of Enoch, but you never really like get an explanation of actually, what that entails.
What is that? Yeah, they say it like you should know already, but I think most people don't have any idea what the hell that means. So that gives you a little bit of a better understanding. But as far as these Watchers go, the Watchers, they were sent to watch over us, but they were also sent here to teach humans science and to help advance humanity.
Really? Okay.
See, that's when it gets almost insulting, is if we can't just evolve enough to like eventually figure shit out. Like when you think about how long like the world went without the wheel, you're like, where were you then, Watchers? Like, why was that such a big advantage? That should have been figured out a long time ago.
Okay, if we couldn't figure out a wheel, that's on us. It's a pretty basic concept. The one thing I think would be the most beneficial when it comes to science is being maybe given a book of anatomy for ourselves so we don't have to dissect each other and figure out how shit works.
It's fun making mummies and stuff. That's what they were having fun doing that. And Rob, I think I did give you some credit. You're like, yeah, look how long it took us to make the wheel. We needed these Watchers. We were not going anywhere else very far without them. So, all right.
Yeah.
And I certainly didn't have electronic vehicles. So
in my mind, I'm making connections here to like ancient Egypt too, because it felt like the Egyptians had knowledge of, things that were going on inside the brain. Like
they knew how to get the brains out through the nose. How did they know that?
They knew certain things that just seemed like they were being tipped off possibly by somebody. They knew things about astrology that just like they were very advanced, and humans are extremely advanced. We adapt. We are the smartest things on the planet. That's why we're still here. That's why we rule. But basically, these Watchers had a leader named Samyaza. And Samyaza encouraged the Watchers to procreate with humans and instructed them to have sex with the people. And in result, the Watchers' offspring are human, angel, alien hybrids called the Nephilim. And we're kind of back where we started.
Are we like the most fuckable thing in the known universe or something?
I think
it seems like if you're an angel or a Watcher or ET, it's like we need that. They got the good sauce. We got to get down there.
I don't know
Giants, all of them.
I didn't even think aliens could have sex. We just talked about this recently. Like they don't have the stuff to do it. So how are they doing? They're just rubbing.
They're very interested in it still. They're the ones obsessed with it.
Or maybe it is more of like a science experiment to them. And it's less about actually having sex and more about just getting the DNA. Who knows?
I think that's what sex is to a lot of people too.
Yeah, probably.
It's just an experiment.
Just give me the DNA.
See what kind of sperm and DNA they can get from people.
Just give me the goo. And okay, so for some timeline reference here for you guys, the older sections of 1 Enoch, mainly the Book of the Watchers, the text is estimated to date from about 3rd century BCE or 300 to 200 BC. And the later parts of the Book of Parables, is probably from like 100 BC. So if you're doing the math, that's like roughly 2,200 years ago.
You're getting close to Jesus times where all this giants nonsense.
We're past it. We're going past Jesus. Even we're way before that.
We passed up Jesus.
We went before him. But similar to the Book of Enoch, there's the Book of Giants. Like they get right down to it with this one. Wow. They're just calling it the Book of Giants. The Book of Giants is a pre-flood narrative that is mostly found in Manichaeism. Christian literature is thought to have been based on the Book of Enoch. So it's kind of like someone took the Book of Enoch and then they were like, I'm going to do my own thing with this. And in the Book of Giants, according to Wikipedia, it is an expansive narrative of the biblical story of the birth of giants in Genesis. And in this story, the giants came into being when the Watcher, sons of God, who God originally dispatched to earth for the purpose of instructing and nurturing humanity in proper ritual and ethical conduct to do what is just and upright upon the earth, they were seduced and they had sexual intercourse with these human women.
That was easy.
It sounded like almost like a legal deposition. Like God's like, look, I got to do this in legalese so you know everything's on the level. Whatever touching or goo exchanging is happening here.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And, as we've said, they birthed this race of hybrid giants. And these Watchers and the giants, they engaged in destructive and grossly immoral actions, which devastated humanity, including the revealing of heaven's holy secrets or mysteries to their wives and children and to mankind generally.
Does this mean?
But yeah, this actually means that like basically the angels, aliens, whatever you want to call them, came down and like just kind of wreaked havoc and were like total shitholes.
Here's my
on
Playboy
Earth.
magazines. Like, what are they talking about?
Totally, like basically made everything terrible. And then there was only one way to flush out this menace, right, Rob?
Basically, yeah. I mean, it does feel like I'm giving like a Bible history lesson right now, but I guess that kind of is what this is.
That happened in Hell's Bells 1 and 1 and 1 2 and 2 and 2 2 and 2 3. Yeah, we've touched a lot of this, so it's fine.
I'm telling you, though,
acceptable.
It comes around though, and it all makes sense in the end. When Enoch heard about all the shit that was going on, with all this debauchery that was happening, he was distressed and he petitioned God, who in his long suffering and by divine revelation of council called Enoch to preach repentance unto them. So basically, like, these giants just started causing chaos on earth. Enoch went to God and was like, dude, what are we going to do about this? And God more or less told him how to handle how the situation was going to be handled. God chose to give these fallen Watchers an additional chance to repent by transmitting dreams. But they like couldn't understand what the dreams meant and stuff. So like things didn't work out the way God had planned.
Dreams don't affect us either. They're like, oh, this is some weird ass.
We're like, what the fuck was that? I feel like I had a meaningful dream. I don't remember it. Anyway.
Yeah, you were building a go-kart with your ex-landlord.
Basically, what happens is this assembly of Watcher giant associates were perplexed by the dreams. So they sent a giant named Mawe to Enoch's abode and to the places of his preachings. And Enoch, in his attempt to intercede on their behalf, provided not only the oracle that the Watchers and the giants had requested, but also twin tablets that revealed the full meaning of their dreams and God's future judgment against them. So like pulled out tablets, like iPads basically, and like showed
really
them.
Had to spell this out for them. Like, I'm trying to use symbolism to tell you this.
And when the Watchers and giants had at last heard heaven's response, many chose in their transcendent pride and arrogance, rather than to turn from their evil ways, to act in difference against God. It's a lot. There's a lot going on here with the Book of Giants. The Qumran, there's the hero Gilgamesh is kind of based off some of the stuff that's written in here. There's a lot going on here. And in one version, the book contains a complete ending telling how the forces of light led by 4 angels identified as Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Israel subdue the demons and the big 4
the archangels
and their offspring in battle. So like there's a great, you got to have like your big conclusion battle, like your end game scenario.
This was Avengers 3 or whatever, end game.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, much of the content in the Book of Giants is similar and most closely relates to 1 Enoch. But this passage sheds light on the characteristics and features of giants. It reveals that the giants were born of the Watcher, sons of God and daughters of man. The giants, as their prostituted half-breed offspring, began to devour the works of what they perceived to be a titan or giant and went on to kill and to viciously exploit them in slavery and sexual debauchery. They also had sexual intercourse with animals and raped one another. They murdered on a massive scale, and they also aborted their own children.
Yikes. Holy God Almighty. Wow. Okay. It just kept getting worse.
Yeah, but to say your 2 options, you're either aborted or pimped out for these giants who are like over there doing stuff with farm animals and stuff at the same time.
Getting trafficked or you're trafficking. You're doing something bad.
it's good that you actually got deep because I was like, yeah, they just kind of got out of control and had control. I was like, well, what are they doing? And now you hear, all right, let's just say they were out of control. We don't need to get too deeply into it.
They were out of control. They were definitely out of control. But like
that was a large enough bullet point list that like, no more details needed. That was,
we got dark for a minute there, but we're gonna lighten it back up. It's gonna get fun again. As if that's not enough, though, as if there's not enough connections already being made here. Giants are also a major source of myths in Norse mythology, Greek mythology, and American Indian tribes. According to Greek mythology, the giants were the offspring of Gaia and Tartarus, another primordial Greek deity. The ancient Greeks wrote about giants, describing them as flesh and blood creatures who lived and died, and the term giant itself comes from the Greek word gigantes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and you got to think, when you start hearing about the more modern civilizations, like it's easy to kind of, all right, this is biblical times. Who knows what gets handed? When you hear about like these kind of myths, you're like, well, maybe there were a couple of these guys that were hanging around and they were kind of known about, and it became legend and story, and that does make you want to go deeper, like we have been doing this whole time. So it's this element of it that I love. I'm like, oh, yeah, here we go.
This is fun, right? This is cool.
Yes.
So the Greek writer Apollodorus described the giants as having long hair and serpent scales on their feet and legs.
Ew.
Right? So they were scaly dudes.
Serpent scale. But only on their feet and legs.
Yeah. The ancient Greek writer...
alopecia or something. I don't know. What is it?
I forget what the other thing is. I don't know.
Listen, we're just getting started.
Legs?
We're just getting started on the description here. There's more. The ancient Greek writer Apollodorus also referred to Alcyoneus as the king of all giants, describing him as 12.5 feet tall and immortal.
Damn.
That's another big guy. Like they're all kind of around that like 10 to 15 foot range
somewhere
too, which I'm noticing.
I'm
trying to connect as many dots as I can here, and I feel like that's important for some reason.
He's like a big Methuselah.
Kinda.
Methuselah.
For the ancient Greeks, Porphyrion was the most powerful of the giants, the violent children of the earth goddess Gaia, who challenged the Olympian gods in a war known as the Gigantomachy. Gigantomachy. I can't. There's so many big words in this. Gigantomachy. Gigantomachy. I don't know.
Giant throwdown.
Gigantic Tamagotchi.
Giant war. The big ass giant war.
Sick.
So Porphyrion, along with his brother Alcyoneus, led the giant army into battle against the Olympians in the Thracian town of Pallene. But the giants were ultimately defeated, and Porphyrion himself was killed by either Zeus, Hercules, or Apollo, depending on which version of the story you read.
Yeah, answer this week's poll. Who beat the giants? Was it Hercules, Apollo,
or Zeus? Alcyoneus was one of the most foremost giants, terrible creatures. That's what they described him as, one of the most terrible creatures. And when the giants set out to overthrow the Olympian gods in the war, Alcyoneus is one of the ringleaders. And in some accounts, he even started the war by stealing the cattle of Helios, the Titan god of the sun. So this dude, he's a giant. He's out there stealing cattle.
That's a bad
starting
move.
wars.
You shouldn't do that.
That's an alien move there. We still have
Not
that problem to
Helios.
this day.
That's a great point, Russ. That is, stealing cattle is such an alien move. I didn't even put that together, but it's 100%. I'm so glad you're here for this.
Where's ancient Greek Linda Moulton Howe now? She would have been all over this.
So Alcyoneus posed a unique threat, for he was immortal as long as he touched the earth of Pallene, his birthplace. So as long as he was home, you couldn't kill this dude. He was finally defeated in battle by Hercules, who was able to kill him by dragging his ass out of his home. He dragged him out of Pallene and killed him. I love that. I think that's just...
That's how you get a lot of people, yeah.
When you mentioned Hercules earlier, I immediately just think of Arnold for some reason, for that old dumb Hercules in New York movie. But now picturing Arnold do that as well, I'm like, yeah.
I was this close to clipping the Nutty Professor. Hercules,
I was about to say it myself.
I was so close.
Like, no, we're funnier than that. We don't need to say that.
I wish I had it right now.
Evidently, we're not. No, we're not. Neither of us have said it. We have not done it.
I kind of just did.
Drea's going to do it now.
Yeah, here we go.
She didn't do it. She totally flayed us on that one.
Fuck
okay.
No.
All right. Anyway, now you may all be wondering, okay, if all these cultures and these religions all have giants as part of them, where the fuck are the bones? Where's the evidence? Where is any of the evidence? Like, how do you have all this talk and all these stories and no evidence? Well, giant skeletons have been reported in the United States for a long time. People have been finding these things as far back as like the early 20th century. It's always been a combination of like hoaxes, scams, fabrications, and just like straight up misidentification. People like thinking that it is giants and saying that it's giants without having any way to prove that it is a giant. And
and as far as like the ancient stuff goes, like he was saying, like he's like, well, the one thing we need is those bones. We're hopeful we'll find it. There's never been like a big set of giant human bones, or imagine a giant skull. It hasn't happened, but somehow here, in the U.S., in even the last couple of 100 years, it almost became a fad. And I've almost considered getting into this for our famous frauds. There are some great, famous, fraudulent giant skeletons that I think you might get into one or two.
Yeah, I have one on here. This is just interesting though, because this topic, it broaches like so many different unbelievable things. Like now we're into famous fraud territory and hoaxes and shit, which, it's something I think is like its own genre in the unbelievable world.
Yeah, it's a part of the giant lore, though, that this was a thing. I don't know when you're going to get to it. I immediately think of Cardiff. That's the first one that.
Cardiff is probably like one of the more famous ones. Which like there's so many of them that I was thinking about going through and naming all of the different ones, but there's so many that I just kind of picked a couple. But basically, many of these things that people thought were giant skeletons, they were reported. Many were reported to have been found in Native American burial grounds. So like they're desecrating Native American burial grounds to find some of these things.
Right, and those mounds are already really big. So and with the legends of them having giants and then seeing these giant burial mounds, it's like, where's them big bones in there? Like,
yeah,
why your mound so big? I buried family members. Their mounds are very, very little.
Yeah, examples from 7 feet to 20 feet tall were reported in many parts of the United States. That's like when they were digging up these Native American burials.
Well, I mean, come on, that would be kind of crazy to expect that's because the bones are so big that they had to be mounded upon that tall.
Well, you would hope that people weren't that stupid, Drea. You would hope that, but you'd be wrong.
No, you'd be wrong. Think of
the
next Chuck.
Damn,
Apache Chief. He would get very big.
You know what? I feel stupid now.
So basically, the claims of giant skeletons were debunked. They started to be debunked in the 1930s. There was this person, a curator of anthropology at the Smithsonian, Alice Hrdlicka. Very hard name to pronounce. But the Smithsonian Institution opposed the popular myth that an ancient white race of mound builders existed. The role of the Smithsonian Institution in debunking such claims led to a conspiracy theory that Smithsonian archaeologists were destroying giants' bones in order to cover up the existence of giants.
Yes, because they were trying to destroy religion and replace it with Darwin. And they're like, Darwin didn't know about giants. We have to protect him, destroy all these religious bones.
That's so stupid.
It's so crazy. But Hrdlicka blamed the reports of giant skeletons on the will to believe, coupled with amateur anthropologists who were unfamiliar with human anatomy. So like literally giving these people the benefit of the doubt in the nicest way, just being like, you were mistaken.
Yeah, and then you find out that a lot of them that were just like fabricating giant bone sets and being smart enough to bury it in their cornfield. And then somehow, I remember the Cardiff one is like that, where someone created a giant skeleton, it buried it, and then I think sold the property. So someone new had to kind of dig up whatever was there to be able to build something. They're like, whoa, look at this. We found a giant. And he's like, wow, I can't believe it. There was a giant under there the whole time.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories like that. And they're so ridiculous. Like in 2014, an internet story began circulating, which claimed that the Smithsonian Institution had custody of giant skeletons, but they destroyed thousands of giant skeletons in the early 20th century. The internet story about the Smithsonian was debunked by Reuters and the Associated Press. So the Smithsonian never had any giant skeletons.
Man, some Rockefeller has some office with a big, like almost like a big, like you would have a dinosaur set up bones. It was like a giant set up in their office. Man, they're hiding that stuff.
If Clifford was going to run around with a dog bone in his mouth, it would be like that. That's a giant's femur. That's the size that they've got, but it's gone to a giant dog.
You wanted a famous skeleton though, Russ? I got one for you.
Jack Skellington?
No. The giant of Castleknock. The giant of Castleknock refers to 3 bone fragments discovered by Georges Vacher de Lapouge in 1890 in sediment used to cover a Bronze Age burial tumulus and dating possibly back to Neolithic era. Lapouge determined that the fossil bones may belong to one of the largest humans known to have ever existed. However, in 2002, Catherine Hackinian asserted that the discovery of Lapouge was most likely a cave bear and not a human.
Oh,
what? That's such a huge jump.
It was just a bear.
Like Clan of the Cave Bear. Well, you still think though that there had to be even maybe like early humans were a little diminutive, and the rare big ass guy could have been from this breeding of aliens or angels, whatever. But I want to believe there were lots of them out there.
Well, this one, I'll tell you right now, Russ. This one was a bear, unfortunately. But
like a bear man?
It was just a bear, just a straight up bear,
just a bear,
not a half man, half anything, just a straight up bear man. Not even a bear man, just a bear.
Not even part human, part.
But giant skeletons of animals were often mistaken for giant human bones during previous centuries and during the early 20th century. This was due to a lack of expertise in human bone structure by those who discovered the bones. And also some discoveries were intentionally misrepresented for various reasons.
I can see why.
Just to make some money. But this is one of the most frustrating things about the giant topic. Basically, the North Americans and their relationship with giants and North American giant mythology. And this is something that I didn't realize was so prevalent in such a history book sort of a thing. This was like chapters in history books at one point.
Well, yeah, if we're talking America, I mean, American folklore is littered with giants. I mean,
not even folklore though. This was
Paul Bunyan. Come on.
That was my first thought.
This was considered true historic knowledge, though, basically. During the 19th century, there was widespread belief in North America that a prehistoric lost race had existed, and people actually believed this shit. European settlers embraced myths of pre-Columbian settlements from the Old World, which reframed colonization as the continuation of a primordial past in which the roles of native peoples were diminished or dismissed. White Americans developed the myth of the mound builder race. So that's what Russ was talking about the giant mounds, which provided in their eyes a rationale for the colonization of the American Midwest. So basically,
they weaponized the giant myth to...
They weaponized the giant myth and basically convinced other white settlers that the Native Americans were the enemy because they took out this race of giants that had existed in America previously.
That's so bizarre.
And they were able to believe that more than the fact that the Native Americans have been here forever, which is just, this is like one of the saddest moments in American history.
If you ask those colonizers, they'd be like,
I never said that.
Like, you might have. You might have.
They did, though. Unfortunately, they did. But, various versions of the myth held that the massive earthworks within the Mississippi Valley, like Grave Creek Mound and the Great Serpent Mound, were not built by the ancestors of Native Americans, but that they were built by these mound builders.
Wow.
And yeah, it's
the
ridiculous.
Occasional blue ox.
It becomes insulting.
It's very insulting, honestly. And these white settlers created this myth that the Native people had exterminated this prehistoric race and, cast genocidal violence against the natives. And it was pretty fucked up, honestly, the way that the situation was handled.
Yeah, like we've got no proof that these other species of beings existed at all, but we're pretty sure that you killed them all. So we're going to kill you all.
I'm on the side of occasionally there might have been a really big guy, but I'm not going to back up anything else. Maybe there was a few really big. I mean, Manute Bull existed just a few years ago. We're like, wow, that guy's big. But it's hard to buy into everything else now. I'm reeling back because I'm a scientist.
It's just crazy to wrap your head around this. Between 1812 and the American Civil War, so like 1861 to 1865, nearly all Americans writing about the continent's history used the myth of the white mound building race.
So weird.
Everybody believed it. Fucking Abe Lincoln believed in the giant myth.
I'm actually not entirely surprised about that.
We used to have big boys and they're gone.
But yeah, it's fucking crazy. Like hundreds of newspaper articles wrote about giants and like it was just published in every single paper that you could pick up at that time. Everybody thought it was a real thing. And it took a while.
There were ancient Larry Birds, big white guys roaming around and that they were all taken out. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they weren't very good at basketball.
And it wasn't until like the Smithsonian and Herdlecka, I believe their name is. It wasn't until they showed up that things kind of started to get straightened out, and like the proper investigations were done, and the proper studies were done on these bones, and basically it was all bullshit. It was just all complete bullshit.
Yeah, but now it's going the other way because fucking Ancient Aliens is on season 36 and they keep going with it. So it's almost coming back in a weird way.
At least it's not just a show entirely on giants because they wouldn't have anything else to talk about.
But it is the core of their existence. They just don't have to talk about it every week. Like, we've said our piece on giants. We all know they're real. Anyway, moving on. Rob.
Like, even as recent as like 2020, there's still been articles and people reporting about giants and mound builder stuff. In 2022, the Columbus Dispatch reported that archaeologist Donald Ball collected articles about giant skeletons, which were purportedly found in burial mounds dating as far back as 1845. And he determined that when the claims about giant skeletons were scrutinized, they did not reveal the giant skeletons. One story in the Indianapolis Journal reported on August 29th, 1883, that a 9-foot skeleton had been found. Dr. M.M. Adams investigated and included that the bones were not of a giant and that the individual was not above 5 feet 8 inches in height, which, if I'm keeping track, makes me a fucking giant.
And that was right the day before my birthday, but like 150 years before. So, wow.
What a coincidence.
That must mean you're close to being a giant, Russ.
Yeah. And so Dr. M.M. Adams, he determined that it was a giant fraud upon the people. In 2014, there was another hoax. Basically, that whole thing happened with the Smithsonian, and that was all disproven, thankfully. But all of that kind of leads us here now.
Now, there has to be some kind of giants surely out there somewhere still causing some kind of mayhem. They have to come out of there, and maybe they're hiding in Mount Shasta. Maybe they're buried in the desert, riding giant worms. They got to be out there somewhere still. Something is happening, right?
Yeah, there is definitely something happening. I was going to go into a whole section here where I was going to talk about some famous giants, but, I don't really think we need to talk about Jack and the Beanstalk that much. Fee, fi, fo, fum. That's the gist of it.
Just remember, magic beans and slingshots is all you need to know about giants as far as humans go.
We're here.
That's how I live my life already.
Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the bones of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead. I'll grind his bones and I'll get his dough.
Roy is not this man's real name.
I don't think that rhymes really, but
it's not too good. No, that actually.
You got your rhyme in the beginning of the episode. Next up, just worry about it next up. You already got one. You're 1 for 1. Now you're 1 for 2. I'm keeping track this year.
Technically, this giant is the least important giant, maybe the most quoted giant of all time. Fee, fi, fo, fum. I would say he's probably the most quoted giant of all time. But technically, in the larger scope of the giant mythology, kind of not that important. So we'll skip over him.
People just make fun of him. It's sad.
But guys, not all giants are myths and legends. There's giants out there. And, a couple of years ago, within the last 20 years even, there's been numerous sightings of giants. And more than just sightings, there's been battles with giants. Let's fast forward to modern day. And let's discuss one of the most notorious giants of recent history, the Kandahar Giant. In this clip that I'm about to play, we will meet the controversial author, L.A. Marzulli, who I don't think we've ever discussed on any of our programs, on any of our shows.
He has eluded us over these few years of doing the show. I don't know how either.
I don't know
because,
how.
Yes.
He's so up our alley, some of the stuff that comes out of this guy's mouth. And what he's known for taking like esoteric, often unexplainable topics and basically using the Bible to explain them and linking these things together. So L.A., which is his first name, I don't know, we're going to call him L.A., he somehow came into contact with a former U.S. soldier who spent wartime in Afghanistan. And what he describes can only be the Kandahar Giant.
You were in Afghanistan in 2002, and you were called into a very remote section of Afghanistan because a patrol had basically gone missing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Well, villages around nothing
for miles.
Right.
So very remote.
Yeah, very remote. So we flew in. Did about 4 kilometers. We're hiking to the same area where they were supposed to make one of their checkpoints, one of their rally points. And before we left, there was all kinds of what happened with the ambush. But that was even odd because at point of ambush, he called for maybe close air support, something, okay? There was no calls made, just off the bridge. So we're coming down a mountainside, and it was a nice path, a go path. As we bent around this corner, you could see this opening of the cave. There was a cave as we're coming around. And then I see there's a lot of rocks, which is another oddity, and then bone matter. When I'm not close enough to identify what kind of bones, but I did see something I knew was a piece of our communications equipment. So instantly, we're thinking ambush, maybe animal, could be anything. And there was enough room in front of this cave, but it had a sheer drop-off. But there was enough room that we actually got into a decent dispersal in case of ambush.
Yeah, so this is the Kandahar Giant. It does sound like he's describing a location that like the Lord of the Rings crew would arrive at. We're like, yeah, there's a bunch of weird skeletons and there's a cave leading into a mountain and some rocks. We see some of our equipment out there. We know something's going on. Yeah, this story is fucking great.
It's pretty crazy, man. It's kind of a scary thought to be in this position. You're out on your patrol, you come across this cave, you see unnatural rocks that shouldn't be in places that they are. You see bones that look like somebody's been chewing on them. You see your piece of your radar gear all fucked up and you're like, oh God, what's going on?
And the production, I always had to bring it up.
That was expensive.
They went over the top with this. They had the eagle cawing sound effect and the thing, and the guy's voice is already disguised as if he's like,
Roy is not this man's real name.
The hidden voice, the screeching, it's such a great setup.
Oh yeah.
This dude's voice, he's got the low voice, you know what I mean? He's got the
low voice.
But so he paints a pretty decent picture of the scene. This team of soldiers making their way through the desert and they come across this mysterious cave. And these guys learn pretty quick. You don't fuck with the giant.
You see something coming out of the cave, and it's moving with a speed and agility that catches you off guard.
Everybody. And he comes out. It was a man at least 12 to 15 feet in height. This is a monster. Red beard. His hair was long past the shoulder, a scarlet red, and Dan runs at him, starts shooting, broke all of us into the reality. Because it was so real.
Now your training is kicking in.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Muscle memory, complete muscle memory.
Oh man,
that was you playing that.
No,
that wasn't. No. That's a very familiar sound effect. I was thinking of like.
But no, it sounds very familiar here. This is probably what you heard.
Yeah, that sounds like one of those Bigfoot calling competition clips.
Yeah, that's exactly what
I thought it was.
There's another piece here. Tell me what you think.
This is a monster.
That is.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds so familiar. My muscle memory is kicking in because I know that sound. I can't put my finger on it.
I thought you were playing clips over that clip. I thought that's something where that's from like Bogey Creek or something. We're gonna find that. It is something we've covered.
Whoever can send us a message and let us know what that clip is actually from, because I can't remember right now, but I'm sure one of you listeners remembers.
It's a
send us the message.
Call. I promise
it's a Bigfoot call.
Bigfoot sound effect.
It definitely is.
Oh man,
one of them. There's so many.
So yeah, dude,
that is one of the like the bugs. That's something that was called into Art Bell. That was a recording of an Art Bell, like a caller to Art Bell sent a Bigfoot recording. It was that. I swear that is what they used for that.
I'd put money on it. Yeah, I believe you.
I know that.
Oh man,
I just got to keep adding that. Any excuse to shoehorn that in. Go on.
All right, so. I love that clip. I love it. But things are getting crazy, man. Dan's running in there. He's trying to take the offensive. They're trying to figure out how to handle this dude. He's coming out swinging.
Lieutenant Dan running in.
Exactly.
Oh, come on.
And basically, shit gets crazy real quick. This dude comes barging out, screaming. You heard him. Let's hear what happens next.
While Dan is moving at him, another bro of mine's laying down fire, and I start firing. He skewers Dan. He's now got him on this pike. It went through him. And he's still got him, and he's coming after more. We all just clicked in. I don't know what it was, but I remember we're all like, shoot him in the face, shoot him in the face. And all weapons components were in force. We had 308s, and we had Barrett 50s. This is sounding longer than it took. We're talking 30 seconds. And he's taking multiple hits, and is still moving.
Shoot him in the face! Shoot him in the face!
This is not just Rob taking advantage of sound effects of machine guns. This is an actual thing. And I got to say, I just want to say one thing.
My heart goes out to him, but, it's part of the game. We all know the dangers.
Yo, dude, Dan got fucking skewered like a shish kebab. Okay?
It sounded pretty bad. It didn't sound like it went very well.
Dan is on a pike, all right? They're shooting this fucking thing in the face. It's got Dan on a pike. It's screaming. It's going fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's like Rawhead Rex, if anyone knows that movie or reference or story. Anyway,
this thing's got a huge, long red beard, long red hair, just storming out of this cave, attacking these guys. Stabs fucking Dan. He's on a shish kebab.
Poor Dan.
Yeah, dude, fucking guys. Dan's dead.
Dan was dead. Okay. And why, as a good man, probably one of the best men I know, now dead. Before I'd left, they were already starting what they call a 9-line, which is a medevac request.
This is Phil Schneider, right?
Medevac request, then all of a sudden it's not a medevac request. All of a sudden we had a helicopter show up because, like I told you, it was a large precipice and a sheer drop. So the helicopter just came up from the drop. They had dropped netting, which is like cargo netting. It's like squares. We were told we had to bundle him up. And we get another bigger helicopter, but it's almost like a Jolly Green Giant used to look back in the day that could get, through this area. Because the mountains, you gotta remember, Chinooks could only go in certain places because they had enough lift. Mm-hmm.
The Jolly Green Giant. I knew I forgot to mention a giant. One of the most famous
Another
giants.
pop culture giant.
How did you miss that one?
Yeah, one of Michael Jackson's favorites. Ho, ho, ho. He teaches children to eat vegetables.
Excuse me? Michael
It's a great
Jackson?
clip. We'll save it for the live stream. But yeah, Michael Jackson was a big fan of the Jolly Green Giant. But that's not how you catch a giant. If you have air support and helicopters and stuff, you should learn.
Sorry, Michael Jackson.
Anything you should learn about catching giants, you don't bring a big net. You bring like a big concrete dome.
You
drop
bring
it
a
on top
tiny
of
net.
them.
It's a death sentence.
A dome? He's dead, though. They killed his ass. They shot him in the face. He's super dead. Now they're doing Operation Dumbo Drop with this giant. They're like, we got to move this big boy. They're like, well, we need help. Get the helicopter. And they're like, he's dead. But
get the jaws of life.
Still
No,
send the
jaws of
helicopter, though. Oh my God. It's out of fucking control. Things have gotten completely out of control. They now are putting this giant on a helicopter, trying to get him out of there. Oh, man, this
Doesn't
story,
sound like it's going to work very well.
the story's crazy. No, he's dead. Everything's cool now that he's dead. He can't skewer anybody else. But let's see what else happens.
And so we got him on there. The thing was too big. We couldn't move it. It smelled worse than a skunk. A corpse that's been around for a while.
Really fell.
Oh, it was like a combination because of the, how do you put that, the persistence of a skunk smell. But once the helicopter came in, dropped its little hook, and off he goes. The communication was sent out that we had a very large possible human creature.
Wow, man. So yeah, they're just like, they picked him up, possible human creature, they described him as, which I feel like is a little offensive.
Possible.
He's possibly human, kind of human. He's a giant, dude.
I remember kind of when this event happened.
Like,
This
what
whole
else would it be?
This whole Kandahar Giant, this story. I know it was talked about on Coast to Coast. I know it was talked about lots of places on the internet and stuff like that. And no one knows if it actually happened or not. Who knows? This guy this secret Dan is dead. I don't know. We don't know what this guy's name is who's talking, right? His name
Rest
is
in
not
peace
Roy.
to Dan. No, this guy, he disguised his voice, so I don't think he wants anybody to know who he is.
Yeah, we're not going to reverse engineer that sound. I'm sure Rob could figure out.
No, I mean, like we could find out.
I could pitch him up,
but we're not.
I could pitch him up and we could hear what he sounds like, but we won't do that.
We're not going to do that.
So this next clip is interesting because they start to describe a little bit better what this Kandahar Giant actually looked like. So,
of course, we're upset. That's a given. Okay. We lost a very good guy. But add to that, you're discussing something that even in our after action report, they're saying rewrite it. And we had to rewrite it the way they wanted.
How many fingers?
Six toes. And the nails were weird because if you see somebody that ever has, I don't know what it's called, but it's
like a fungus on
the nails, how they get pointy and they're like gnarly. That's what they look like.
Yeah. 6 fingers, 6 toes on each hand and foot.
Yikes.
Well, 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot. That would be really weird.
Oh, okay.
If he had toes on his hands and fingers on his feet.
I'm more worried about the fungus.
Fingers and toes.
Yeah, he's got fungus.
I don't want any of that.
He needs to go and get some of that defungus stuff, like the
Tough actin, Synactin?
There you
This
go.
is not an ad, but yeah, okay.
Tough actin, Synactin. Cut the fungus down. Yeah,
Operation
he needs some of that.
Synactis drop. Yeah, that would help these giants and their pointy nails.
It just really feels like they're nitpicking here where they're like, and his nails were gross.
And
It's
while
like,
you're at
all
it,
right.
cut one of those fingers off.
Like, look at those split ends. Ew.
Yeah, 6 fingers and 6 toes, though. That's kind of alien to me. That sounds like...
I mean, is it?
It sounds like a description of like when people describe an alien. They're like, he had 6 fingers and 6 toes. And like, you know what I mean? It doesn't sound...
If these are the leftovers, though, of the alien breeding thing, if we're going to go back to the Book of Enoch and everything, if these are the leftovers of that, of course, they'd be hiding in caves. I'm sure at Kandahar, there'd be 1 or 2 around. Maybe not here so much, but out there, that's what made this story believable. We're like, we're out in the desert and we're a bunch of army guys and there's a giant out in the desert and you can't prove us wrong because you're sitting in America looking at your phone. What the fuck do you know about what's going on out here? So the story can work in many ways.
Yeah, and apparently like there's these other things called Rephaim, which are like the Nephilim. It's, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of different terms for these guys. They're just big dudes and they're dangerous and they will eat you if they catch you and they'll skewer you.
I don't like that.
They will fuck you up.
Shoot him in the fungus.
Shoot him in the face.
Just give them more fungus. Yeah.
What about that skewer, though? His weapon. This guy, maybe the weapon can help us figure out more about the giant. It must be a pretty big weapon if you can impale a man with it. And like if the giant's holding it, it's probably too big for a normal person to use. So let's find out a little bit about his weapons and what it might have been.
I'm going to show you an artifact. It's a bronze artifact. We had it tested. It's about almost 98% copper. Pure copper, but it's bronze. Does this look familiar?
I can confirm it was probably about a 10-foot pole connecting a lashed split pole like I guess they would have done back in the old days.
Was it about this long?
Oh, easily.
This was found in the wilds of Michigan. We have come to call it the Nephilim lance. It is definitely not a sword. It's a pike, it's a lance. And what you put a staff on this thing, good luck trying to wield it. And what's interesting is the weight of this lance ties into the biblical prophetic narrative. Talks about the weight of the spearhead was 300 shekels, talking about one of the giants. I think it was Ishbi Benob. The giant spearhead was 300 shekels. When you convert that to pounds, that's 8.5 pounds. That's what this is.
I didn't know there was you could get shekels to pounds. I didn't know that was
Me neither.
You got to Google shekels to pound conversion. And it breaks it down really easy for you.
Is there an app for this? How do they? All right.
Of course, for sure. But think about that. 300 shekels. That's 8.5 pounds. That's exactly what this thing weighs that LA's holding. Do you think that's a coincidence? I don't think so.
Yes.
It's a giant weapon and they all weigh.
Yeah, who's got use for this besides a giant?
I don't know why he pointed that out. What the fuck that's supposed to is that supposed to convince us more that this thing was a giant weapon? I don't know.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
No, it doesn't really mean anything.
Do you have giant bones? No. Do you have a giant shekel-sized spear? Yes, absolutely.
I might have that. Yeah, actually.
Actually, since you asked.
Oh, man. So, yeah, LA's not done with this guy. He's got a little bit more to talk about. But The interesting thing about this is we do have some other clips that I'm going to follow this up with, which kind of corroborate this whole thing, which makes it even more believable. So,
yeah, the Kandahar thing is still up there. So I want to hear more.
Why? If people have a right to know about this stuff. I mean, if there are 15-footers or 18-footers roaming the planet and our military has brought them down, I mean, we have a right as American citizens. I mean, this isn't classified military stuff. This is something that we need to know, and it points back to the biblical prophetic narrative. What are your thoughts on that?
I think here's my personal opinion. My personal opinion is if it points that the Bible is accurate, they don't want it. If it goes against Darwinian evolution, it's not to be spoken of.
Again, Darwin always got to take him down.
So because it's in the Bible, that's why it's got to be a secret. Come on, guys, keep up. If they can't tell everybody, because then it confirms that the Bible's true, and then everything else goes out the window.
That's why we made a secret second Bible.
But wait, hold on. At the
Third
same
Bible.
time, we're not supposed to believe in aliens because that contradicts the Bible. It's like, which way you want to go, Bible? Should we
You're not
believe in
allowed to say
aliens
that
or
either.
not?
You
It's
just
so.
make your secret other Bible, and you don't tell anybody that it's in relation to the other Bibles.
That's why they keep telling us they can't tell us about the aliens. It's like, well, all religion will shut down if there's aliens. It's like, well, what about the giants? Well, they don't want you to know the giants are real because then you'll think the Bible's real. It's like, well, which is it?
Which conspiracy is it? Because it can't be both. All right.
They want it so badly to be all over. They just want to keep you confused, is what it is.
You are kicking down the doors of 2024, Rob. Like, holy shit. I think Rob's setting some kind of pace that I need to keep up with, writing the rest of the episodes going forward. I'm like,
right on.
God damn it. All right, sure. Wait till next week. You'll be like, whoa, wait, what was last week?
You guys, we are diving deep and cracking skulls down here.
And I actually had to send both of you a message before this because I was like, this episode is living up to its giant name. It's going to be a long fucking episode. We're getting there though, guys. We're getting there.
He did warn us we might get kidnapped later too.
It's going to be a journey, but there's gold at the end of this rainbow.
All right.
After all of this, LA links up with another soldier. He wasn't done talking giants. He found another soldier who spent time in Afghanistan. And it's interesting to hear how these stories connect and like sort of hear the same story from another perspective. So let's take a listen real quick.
Okay.
So you're out in the boonies running around looking for high-value targets.
Correct. And we're doing those operations, and as we're getting into firefights, we're getting into different scrimmages, you want to put it that way, we would come back to the base and we started hearing this rumor about a unit that killed this, what they started calling this really tall person. At first I didn't think anything of it, and come to find out that the person that they killed actually was 3 times the size of a man, had extra digits on their hand and digits on their feet, and had red hair, and a special unit had come in and wanted this target. Well, we'd heard that they had killed this thing inside a cave, or the mouth of a cave, and it was common knowledge among the military to hear this.
Now, when you say common knowledge, what do you mean? I mean, how does that work?
Years later, to come to find out, when I had returned from Afghanistan and had met other military members that had not been there in the operations with me, if you would bring up the Giant of Kandahar, they knew about it. When you first hear it, you're thinking like, this has got to be a joke. This has got to be a hoax. But then after things go down a certain way and you keep hearing it, you start to realize it's not a joke.
It's got to be a joke. It's got to be a hoax, right, guys?
I don't know.
He said it wasn't. He said it must not be. It can't be.
And he's not lying. It was one of the stories that was passed around a lot in different outlets, and who knows who else was there. And I mean, even hearing someone who heard about it from someone else, it's still like a bit of lore involving giants. It's very modern. I know.
It, for some reason, it does add a little more credibility to hear more people talking about it, and to keep the details. The details stay the same, which I think is important. And in this clip, this next clip, he gets into some of the interesting training techniques that the soldiers were taught, almost as if the U.S. military knew about these giants before they sent the soldiers in. And they were training them on how to deal with these Nephilim.
They kept telling us to keep our weapons high, which means normally it's 2 to the chest, 1 to the head, but they kept telling us to put it towards a man's head.
Shoot him in the face!
So we would question, why do they want us to shoot higher than a man's head?
That's bizarre.
It is.
Our contact said 2002 is when they shot this 15-footer or taller, and you're now in this, in the service around 2005. This word has gotten out, and what I find interesting here too is that if you're going to create a hoax, I get that, but you got details: 6 fingers, red hair, double rows of teeth, 6 digits on the toes, and of course that brings it right back into what we hear about in the biblical prophetic narrative, specifically the Nephilim. Your thoughts?
I agree. I would tell you that when I was doing my time in the service, and the stuff I saw, some of it I couldn't explain, like lights in the sky during firefights, like orbs or lights that be the size of a softball that look that size looking up in the sky but making weird noises. And even going to Iraq myself and being near Haditha Dam and seeing the prisoners underneath the dam, and prisoners would scream and there'd be this awful feeling underneath the dam, and then later finding out in the Bible that angels locked underneath there where it talks about.
And this Haditha Dam is the Euphrates.
Is Euphrates,
and
correct.
there's an angel supposedly locked underneath the Euphrates,
correct,
which is released in the book of Revelation.
Correct.
So this I found really interesting. This little sidebar here is that, he mentions that soldiers in Iraq, they could feel the presence of angels and hear these angels that are trapped beneath the Euphrates. And the story goes in the Bible that in the end, the 6th trumpet blasts after the 5th, releasing the 4 angels from the Euphrates River. Mm-hmm. And once they're released, they are ready to kill 1/3 of the world's population.
Oh, they're so bloodthirsty. It's true. But when you're in a situation as stressful as war, you're not sleeping well, you're not eating great, you're kind of fucked up in the head. I don't know. You just never. How can you trust what you're seeing and thinking and hearing?
It's just interesting, I think.
And also the description he gives, though, like he's like, this description is just like the Nephilim. It's like, yeah, but it's also like Jack and the Beanstalk. He's a big dumb guy with red hair and 2 rows of teeth. It's like, all right, you're also describing like a dumb
can't trust
giant
people with
too.
2 rows of teeth.
I'm not seeing Nephilim. I'm also thinking Jack and when he said red hair, that immediately throws it off. Where I'm like, all right, I'm thinking of like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Well, no, I mean, the whole red-haired giants thing is, that if anything, that actually makes it more concrete for me. But definitely, once you hear that somebody has 2 rows of teeth, like, whatever, they're stupid. You can't trust them.
I was going to make a bad hair joke and say that there are roots in giant mythology that say that they do have red hair, but I'm not going to.
Hey, I'm glad you didn't. Yeah. I'm glad you didn't.
Back to the giants. I just thought that was cool.
I never said that.
I love the idea of like these soldiers, being held in these prisons in Iraq, and like they're experiencing these strange paranormal things while they're in these cells because they're so close to these angels that are trapped beneath. I just thought it was weird.
I love this idea too. It sounds like they're having a great time. I'm like, wow.
It's super scary sounding, but I love it.
Yeah.
But back to the giants.
That's bizarre. So you're actually at this site, and soldiers are being locked in prison underneath the Haditha Dam,
correct,
and they're freaking out.
They're freaking out. They said they could feel it. In fact, the people who would guard them they would draw straws to see who would actually take them.
No one wanted to go down.
Nobody wants to go down. Going back to Afghanistan, we would hear these things. We would hear the locals talk about rumors of these giants.
Yeah, so basically, like, I didn't realize he did talk a little bit more about what they were experiencing, feeling those angels and stuff. But now we're getting back to the giant talk. We're getting back to what the people in Afghanistan actually say about giants. What is the folklore in Afghanistan regarding giants? Right? Like, what do they think about?
What's the folklore in Afghanistan?
What is the folklore? Let's find out.
Seen this? Heard about this?
What would the locals say? How would they talk about it?
They say that they lived in the caves and they would eat people, and
they were cannibals.
They were cannibals, and we, at the time, chalked it up to our United States as Bigfoot. We realized that every culture had some kind of folklore, but to actually all of a sudden hear that a military unit had killed something.
They blame Bigfoot?
Bigfoot is not hiding in mountains eating people all the time. That's a way different.
Well, I mean, how do we know that, really? We can't really refute that either.
We don't know.
It did feel like they jumped to the conclusion there that it was Bigfoot kind of
they love to jump.
Out of nowhere. Maybe he is the missing link here, though.
What if we're getting invaded by another country? Maybe they go kill our Bigfoot. And I don't know. It was a big guy. We thought it was their
So
big
the thing
guy.
that makes more sense, the thing that's going to connect the mystery of Bigfoot is going to be this other bigger mystery, like literally
bigger foot.
Yeah,
Six-toe
bigger
foot,
redhead
yeah.
foot, bigger red foot. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of bigger foot, this is kind of we're actually going to get to some giant feet in a minute, and honestly, like I kind of feel bad for the way that they did this dead giant. But now, if that wasn't enough for you guys, check out this completely separate interview that I found, which could actually follow up both of these other interviews. This guy is a pilot who flew as part of the military.
Okay.
Back in 2005, I was actually stationed or deployed to Qatar. It was a completely normal mission for us. We were not alerted for anything abnormal. It was in the middle of the day. I remember coming into a base in Afghanistan called Bagram. Back in those days, it was pretty austere. It was an old Russian air base that we were using. It's basically built in a bowl in the mountains where you have to stay high right up in the last minute, and then you basically come screaming back down to land. The area to the side of it was called the Valley of Death because during the Soviet days with the Mujahideen, they had fired their rockets into a lot of the helicopters, so you could see all kinds of wrecks and stuff in the valley below, which for the most part I didn't pay attention to because I was a little busy getting the airplane on the ground safely. We landed and basically was told to taxi to the very end of the tarmac. And like I said, it was middle of the day, very hot. I remember that. We opened the doors and unloaded the equipment that we had brought in. And then we were met at the aircraft by what we later on called the babysitters. But they kind of introduced themselves and said, hey, no cameras, nobody's taking pictures here. We're moving some high-value stuff.
The babysitters. This kind of sounds like
the whole babysitters club.
It sounds like another name for the Men in Black, or just the higher ups,
the handlers, the watchers, if you will. Right?
Yeah, I was
going
to say it sounds a little bit more condescending. I think
it's
just a little bit.
It's something.
As if these giants have evolved and devolved instead of evolved. Where like, all right, we still got some giants. They're not as great and powerful as they used to. They're still around. They're not. They need babysitters.
Yeah, and as far as this guy knows, they're there to pick up some high value stuff. High value indeed. But let's check out this load.
When the load got there,
giant shekels.
We're very, of course, curious to see what it was, because that's just the way you are when you're told that you're not allowed to have a camera. They say this thing had been dead for maybe a day or two, but it stunk. And when I say stunk, I've smelled dead things before, but this had a more of a, I want to say a musky stink, kind of a, not really a decay, but more of a, if somebody hadn't taken a shower in like 10 years type of a musky stink is all I can tell you. 10 years. And it was basically a dead guy. And this guy was extremely large. And when I say large,
dead.
Our pallets are basically, if I remember correctly, about 9 by 12 feet or so. This guy was laying in a fetal position on the pallet. So he filled the pallet. We estimated his size at approximately 12 to 10 feet tall.
Damn, 12 to 10 feet tall. He's a big old stinky boy.
That's, I mean, kind of short compared to, I don't know, some of the more powerful sounding giants. That's
right. They've devolved a little, but they're still way bigger than
kidding.
us. They would dominate the NBA, obviously a 12-foot giant, but they do sound like they've devolved a little.
They could get taller than that.
Drea sounds like one of those girls who on her Tinder profile says like, no giants below 10 feet.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Tall kings only.
My face when he's 9 feet.
Man.
Oh, there must be a separate app for that.
Oh, God, dude. He stinks. That's corroborated again. He's musty. They're just roasting this dude.
He's tall and musky and knows what he likes.
Society has rejected these guys. They don't have plumbing. They live in caves. They're hiding. They're like, leave us alone.
They don't have plumbing.
And like,
they can make plumbing.
The fucking army guys are coming in like, shoot him in the face. He's like, I will skewer at least one of you.
And then they're like, damn, this dude smells like he hasn't showered in 10 years. It's like, all right, fucking A, dude.
What's a shower?
I live in a cave.
I'm from old times. I'm like old-timey.
Like, do you know how much water it takes
for
one shower?
All right. But we get it. He smells. We know what he smells like. But what does he look like?
I did see his skin color. I was expecting somebody of more Arabic descent, being in Afghanistan and all. I know he was dead, but he was very pale, very white. Another thing that us and the rest of the crew did was we took our feet. He was in a fetal position, so you could take your feet and put it kind of, you could see where his feet were there, and they were wrapped up. He did not have shoes on, but he had like, looked like he was wrapping them in some kind of a canvas type stuff. But we were sticking our feet up next to his feet, and his feet were extremely big.
Ugh, stop saying the word feet. Good
They were
God.
leave his feet alone. Yes, he's a giant. He's got big feet. He's a giant. All right.
Leave his feet alone,
If you
dude.
see a dead giant, try rubbing feet. Trust me. on this.
Yeah, next time you're with your girlfriend, start rubbing heads. Trust me on this.
No, ew.
They did the thing that you do with like when you're a little kid where you like put your feet up against your parents' feet or like your friend's feet. Like this was not right. They should
Wait,
not
is
have
that
been
a thing
doing
that you do as a kid?
I don't feel like, who do you do that? I did that with somebody. I don't know who. I can't remember. It had to have been my
The
parents.
mailman, but
Probably
okay.
my siblings.
I hope it
think
wasn't
I've
the
done that with my
mailman.
brothers.
That would be the worst if it was the mailman. But okay, all right. I know. But what about the weight? What is he clocking in at? How much does this dude weigh?
We know that the standard weight on one of those pallets is about 1,500 pounds, and I do remember that the Loadmaster did the weights, and it was around 1,100 pound guy.
Oh shit,
Oof,
dude!
1,100 pounds.
Pound guy.
Well, I was the rod champ. I need to know the Loadmaster. I think me and him could get some kind of monster. Loadmaster.
Wait, that kind of sounds off though, right? Okay, so they're saying that the height is like what, 15 feet?
15 feet.
Or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's think about like
100 pounds a
average
foot?
6 foot guy.
Well, here I can help you. I'll give you a little perspective. 1,100 pounds. That's about the same weight as a telephone pole.
Okay.
And it's also the same weight as a concert grand piano.
Oh, okay. So, well, let me just get my calculator out.
I'm picturing both of those with big arms now, so
Yep.
this is helping me.
Also,
I need the visual.
For comparison,
I don't know what's scarier, a piano with arms or a light pole with arms, but
could also be the weight of a horse.
I don't fool with no horses, boy.
Just to let you know.
A 15-foot man being the weight of a horse.
Yes. Or possibly, I have more. It could be the weight of 2 pigs, technically.
Oh, okay. I know what those weigh. Yeah,
Mhm.
those feel pretty heavy when I pick them up. Okay.
3 reindeer is what he weighs.
3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
How many Mr. Bingles? Because
I've never seen so many Mr. Bingles in one place.
and they're about 1,500 pounds of them.
I don't know how much
1,100.
Mr. Bingle weighs, but I can tell you that he weighs as much as 5 kangaroos.
That's terrifying because they will punch you.
And did you know that 5 kangaroos weighs as much as 9 octopuses?
Whoa.
Yeah, those things weigh nothing.
I'm
They're not-
picturing pretty small octopi.
Or
But
7 kegs of beer.
okay, that I can.
Now
I
that
can
sounds
visualize.
scary.
All
That
right.
sounds scary.
Because
All right,
we
so
all
now-
know what a
You
college
stack,
party
you
weighs.
stack 7 kegs up. I'm not fighting that.
That's what I'm saying. This is a heavy
right.
dude. All right. So now that you guys understand
It's heavy D. Yes,
how much
heavy
weight
D.
1,100 pounds is, do you guys know what dunnage is?
No, and I'm afraid to know.
I don't know either. So this dude's going to explain it.
The pallet sits on dunnage. You know what dunnage is? It's basically like railroad ties so that you can get a forklift underneath it and pick it up. So it was on dunnage, and basic dunnage is like maybe a 4x4. And then the pallet is, say, yay thick. It's actually aluminum and balsa wood. And this guy, I mean, laying down was very, very wide. I mean, and he was, like I said, he's in a fetal position, and you go up and just, you hit it, and of course he's under a tarp and all that, I understand that, but he was a dense guy.
Don't hit him.
It's motherfucker.
Keep your hands to
He
yourself.
wanted to say motherfucker. Yeah.
Ludo's sad.
Why are we hitting the dead giant? You don't need to hit it. You don't need to say he's
No, they're
wide.
just tapping him.
You poke him with a stick at least, but you don't put your foot up to him.
Rob, it's science, man. This is how science happens.
So no one peeked at his wiener? Come on.
Nah.
Oh,
God.
I'm sure
left
they
that,
did.
They left that part out. Honestly, they probably
This is the
did, though.
military. They're taking pictures of all kind of weird stuff.
Couple of
all the
Polaroids.
weird.
Honestly,
they-
dude, one of them probably cut it off and made a necklace out of it. That's the sort of shit that
someone
goes
did
down.
finger guns for sure in a Polaroid, but we'll never see that.
Yeah, I mean,
They'll be sued later.
I just wish they could be a little nicer to the giant. Like, we don't need to say that he's
That
dense.
the Giants could be nicer. I'm like, well, yeah, they could.
We don't need to say he's wide. We don't need to say that
But,
he's
I
got
mean-
foot fungus. Like, let's say something nice about this giant.
He had beautiful red hair.
There you go.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful hair.
But okay, so like, let's wrap it up with this pilot. This is it, man. Here we go.
Oh, God.
We questioned the babysitters of, hey, where'd you get this guy? And some of the Army guys there with him relayed to us that this guy had, I guess, been living up in the mountains next to a village where the villagers basically treated him like a god. I did infer that they were making sacrifices to this guy because they said they found bones of people. The giant supposedly, like I said, I was not there, supposedly killed the first team that they came across. He was extremely big and fast and agile for a guy that size. They sent up another team, and when the second team went in there to get him, supposedly he had already started to basically eat on the team that had been killed the first time.
Oh, wow.
They then grabbed a helicopter, and the helicopter brought him down where we picked him up. After we loaded the Giant, it was just a standard mission back. We took him all the way back to Al Udeid in Qatar, where he was transloaded onto another airplane. I believe it was a C-17. I was done with my mission then. I got away from it. I was done. I did ask some questions later of, where it might have gone. And as the grapevine goes, it was probably taken back to the United States. And the words I heard were right, Pat. But again, I don't know.
We know those words, Wright Patterson Air Base, where, of course, a lot of alien UFO technology is taken and backwards engineered. Very important in that. That almost throws the story off. I'm like, all right, you didn't need to mention that. I do like, he does sound like the Hulk, though. Helicopters.
I don't think it throws it off. I think it kind of confirms.
Helicopters are coming for him. It sounds like very much like the Hulk.
Well, the helicopter, if you remember the story from the pilot, the helicopter came to scoop him up. That was just the removal unit.
That's the nice
basically.
Version, though.
Yeah.
They probably could have used a helicopter to take him out because, goddamn,
do
if
you
they
really think that they were that nice with him, or do you think that that's just padding?
I think it went down the way that it's described. I think like Dan would have rather had the helicopter come in because
Dan was part of the team that was eaten and destroyed in the first round. He was the first wave to discover them,
or part of the second team, and he was just a casualty.
He was the one guy
wave.
they got.
Yeah.
No, don't be Dan.
But basically, so that's the Kandahar Giant right there.
It's great.
I've been sitting on this for a while, and I wanted to let you guys, give you some of that great Kandahar goodness. And, I'm really glad that we finally got through it, but we're almost done. We're not done yet though. We got a little tiny bit more. Not all giants are myths and legends. Even more recently, there's been some giant talk, like very recently. There's been some giant talk, like last week recently.
Whoa.
There was some giant talk. 2023 didn't disappoint when it comes to giant shit. Who could forget this infamous, notorious 911 call from last year?
So there's two people or two subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it, and big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
Whoa. I mean, it's a little different. He saw aliens, but they're the 10-foot thing. They're 10-footers again, man. There's something going on here.
I don't really remember.
I'll fill you in real quick. This was the Las Vegas alien situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is the same call. Yes.
The family saw 10-foot tall aliens in their backyard. They talked about how a section of their yard kind of had that predator effect going on, where it looked like there was some sort of cloaking happening that was hiding some sort
creepy.
Of a ship or something, or maybe just these 10-foot tall alien creatures.
I believe the precursor to that was that they saw something fall to the ground and crash, and then these things were seen in the backyard. And there are lots of people have dissected the images and the video of people walking in that yard, and they think they see alien faces peeking out of the fences as they're looking around. We've covered this on our live stream. Go subscribe on YouTube. Our live streams, we cover all of this. This great.
Totally.
We keep up with all of this for sure.
Totally. And we take it seriously around here. And like, as recently as last week, like I said, giants are still out there. They're doing shit. They're causing chaos. Nothing has changed from the days of the Bible. They're still out causing chaos. And we can't let this become another Phoenix Lights sort of situation. Like this, what happened in Miami last week, is it questionable? Yes. But we've seen these sort of things happen before where they kind of write it off as a silly thing. They say it was some kids fighting. Remember the Phoenix Lights? They brought out that alien when they said, we figured out who it was. It was this Ninu. It was such alien.
They turn it into a dog and pony show. Of course, they mock it and everything. But we saw the police response to Miami, and and we saw we of course Doug Papa podcast. He covered the Las Vegas thing. That's how I got on the beat of that.
Yeah,
and following that. But these things, they come and go so quick, which makes you go, well, why aren't we focused on it? It's like, no, here's something else to worry about. Don't worry about that. And it keeps happening. And same with the Giant stories. It falls in line with all of that.
Thankfully, the news has started to cover some of these Giant stories. And, they take it with a grain of salt. So let's hear how Detroit 2 News covered the Miami aliens, the 10-foot tall Nephilim.
We have something to discuss here about an alien, potentially. Miami police clearing up some conspiracy theories about a recent invasion. On New Year's Day, a large police presence was caught on video surrounding a mall in Miami. Perhaps you saw this, a video posted online claiming it was due to an alien sighting in that area. So what really happened?
Look at that police presence. That's for a fight. Come on.
Police say a group of 50 teenagers started a fight after setting off fireworks, looting.
Bullshit.
The alien, in air quotes, in the video was really just a tall person walking.
It was not. Who said that? Where'd that come from?
It's according to police reports.
Police did not say the alien was just a tall person.
Well, I said the tall part. The alien,
No,
they said it was just a person walking.
A 9-foot person?
Thank you. A 9-foot person? They did not say that.
How is our live stream coverage so much better than any local news could ever do? It's so ridiculous. At least we take it semi-seriously and talk about it in a coherent way. This is terrible.
I mean, shit, they've got to do this shit every fucking day and early morning. Who knows what... my brain would be fried if I were them.
They usually save this for Halloween. We can be like, oh, let's mock a bunch of idiots. Ha, ha, ha.
Well, except when it happens not during Halloween.
They use it as like this moment of like, all right, let's do something a little silly. You know, like they report on all the murders, the rapes, all the disasters that are happening. And then they're like, and then there's this shit going on. Like, but they're having fun with it. It's just, it's so funny to hear how much joy this whole thing brings them. I'm going to send you guys the clip of them so you can see their faces after this.
We'll have to we'll watch this on a live stream on Friday night.
But let's hear the end of this thing here.
Well, this does remind me of other stories where you guys have believed that. Remember that story? Was it Vegas where the aliens were in the backyard and then they got.
What happened to that cell phone video?
Gone. Right. No video of it.
Gone.
And the claim from the Vegas story was that these 10-foot creatures then got
8, 9, or 10-foot like human-like creature.
Yeah, 8, 9, or 10, and then they got into some SUVs.
They took the top off
some black SUVs and drove off.
But now, how'd they fit in there?
They took the top off the Jeep. That's why I said that in advance because I knew you were going to try to. Yeah, you got to take the top off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it was like an extended G-Wagon or something. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, fake news. I definitely followed that story. At no point did an Escalade with a drop top come into the story at all. I could
chrome spinning, Giants out there killing it. Yo, I love that. I love the idea that like they need a convertible because they're Giants. That's so stupid.
It's offensive.
But
like,
you can hear no, hush, 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 obey, be quiet, don't worry about any of this.
Was that an Andre the Giant reference?
You can hear the one guy though, the one news anchor who he's not on board with all this bullshit that the other two ladies are saying. Listen how this kind of goes down here.
So what do you guys think happened here?
A couple things. With this alien situation, it is interesting that they are all tall. So we need to start considering that now in terms of our knowledge of aliens and when they come.
So,
and you're only 5'6" in your earthly body, because we know there's some things we question about Lady Sintafanti. But it is interesting now that the news that does come out about aliens, just in case we thought they were little tiny green men, these are some tall, bad boys. So we might want to think about what our approach would be if something was to happen. Sir, I yield to you.
Yeah, maybe dress up when they come. All right, these girls
wear your high heels.
Definitely...
Wear your heels, ladies, because these are some big boys. And
this is the thirstiest newscast I've ever heard for alienness. What the fuck?
Well, the male newscaster here, he's just been kind of like, you could tell it's been silent. There hasn't been any.
Yeah, he's the 5'6" guy.
He's
gonna say,
he's
you
boiling.
thought you were better than aliens before. You were wrong. You're actually way inferior. They're actually giant, and you're a little man.
Well, he keeps it real. Okay, this guy, I feel like he's an unbeliever. He would be an unbeliever.
Good.
He could be a listener. If he's listening, write into us. We love you. Check it out.
I'm sorry.
Listen to this.
Now, am I supposed to give my opinion based on Ryan Armani, the person, or through a filtered lens?
Well, we're going to take we're going to take your journalism hat off.
Okay.
Wait.
Take it off.
Take it off. Hold on. Go back to.
There we go. Now
you,
give us the Ryan Armani version of what you think went down in Miami.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are being tested as a people. That is what I think.
Yeah.
We are being tested.
Who's testing us?
The government.
For what?
Testing us to see how we would react as a people to such an encounter.
Let me say this.
Was it, so you're saying there was an alien, or was it an imposter alien?
I think it's an imposter. I don't believe it's a real alien.
Okay.
I don't believe that was a real alien at all.
So the government planted this alien and wanted
how she
I didn't say that.
You didn't say nothing about that.
I didn't say that, but I think there's potentially, this is just me speaking here.
Oh, it sure is.
Now,
believe me.
Right?
What should be
You're all alone over there.
Based on the social media accounts, it was not just one. It was, I guess, a group of very tall beings.
Well, social media is typically right.
TikTok specifically.
I mean, TikTok knows all the facts.
My brother was in Miami at the time and is agreeing with.
Why do I always keep getting wrapped out here?
I know. Because they don't want us to tell you the truth. They're saying we have to go. Fine. Go ahead. Forget it.
No, I don't know what's going on over here. Who knows?
The
truth is out there, though.
You think that?
Get that? Did he like that? Nobody saw it.
What are you going to say when there is proof? Because Bashar, who is an alien channel on TikTok, is saying that there will be major alien contact 2024, early 2025. And I'm just saying, when that happens, what are you going to say? And you better not take the day off.
No, I will sit here and I will apologize from this very desk.
Apologize.
I'm sorry.
That's all we want.
He did the Jesse Jackson thing from South Park too. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll give it Ryan Armani, which is like with fancy Rus Ryan Armani. This guy here, taking off his newscaster hat to drop this. I don't know, man. Yeah.
Good on him for that.
He is trying to stick up, but they're like, "Oh, you've heard of TikTok's Bashar?" It's like, dude, Bashar's been around for decades. Like, we've covered Bashar.
Well,
like,
I guess TikTok
the fact that they know who he is.
Everyone. That's everyone's like, in for a lot of this stuff, and TikTok is a whole different wave of new paranormal interest.
Well, I think like Bashar is getting a new level of exposure because of TikTok.
Oh yeah.
So that's why like she mentioned him. Obviously, she's big. She follows TikTok and probably follows Bashar, but Bashar said 2024, 2025, the big aliens are coming. So I think that means the Nephilim are coming, guys. This is the year of the Nephilim. So
get ready, start doing your yoga, start stretching.
I don't know. I want to see what Ivan or Gary Spivey has to say.
All right, we'll ask him.
I would love to hear what Gary Spivey has to say.
I'm sure that they have a lot to
next
say.
live stream. We'll check in.
All right.
But that wraps up my thesis, I guess, here.
This has been great.
Of
Rob,
giants.
Your gigantic.
Rob, you've done it.
Thesis.
This is your if you're going to do giants, you got to go giant and gigantic. And you did
gigantic. Go big.
And it was great. It was awesome. And I think can the poll be what it was earlier? Which god killed the giants? Is it is it Zeus or what were the other ones, Rob?
I believe it was Zeus, Hercules, or Apollo.
Or Apollo. All right. Who is the giant slayer? Is it Zeus, Hercules, or Apollo? This is great. And I do feel like there is more to this. Somehow there has to be more to this.
Dude, there will be more on giants.
I had to cut stuff out of this. I know this is like probably one of our longest running episodes in a while. I had to cut so much out of this because once I started to get into it, I realized that like to tell the story properly and to kind of give people who have no idea the story of giants at all, like a full scope of the whole thing, it just takes a little time. And I'm glad that you guys were able to sit through this with me and we made it to the end of this journey. I don't know. What do you guys think about giants though? Like, do you think that giants were real? Do you think that they existed at some point? Is there anything to this? Drea, what do you think?
I think that they did. I hope they still do because they sound awesome. They sound hot. They sound like they've got what the red-haired giants has been a thing, and everyone's afraid of gingers. And I think that maybe there needs to be some kind of convention at some point where we mend the bridges between the two and not be so afraid of gingers or giants.
Oh, I like it.
I think that there's work to be done, but I'm excited about the notion. I know, of course. I really do think that giants.
She put
were
her
real.
newscaster hat on. She's like, "Ooh, these. Where's this big red? Where is this guy?"
She did. So, what do you think, Russ?
I actually agree. I do think that at some point there were some kind of giants, and hopefully it's not true that the last one was in Kandahar and he was just a big stinky old Methuselah giant who got shot in the face. And but yeah, but Rob, you get props to me. I don't know why we're giving props to everybody. I'll give props to you for putting this together because you took it all the way back to
in the beginning. Yeah. In the beginning.
And you pulled it out all the way to the modern day. So props for that. And yes, go answer. And what is your stance, Rob? I'll throw to you. What is your stance? You think giants were ever real?
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there might be some truth to it, but I don't know. I don't know if I can really fully get on board with the whole ancient aliens theory as much as like a lot of people who believe in this stuff do.
You're no Eric Von Rob again.
Well, yeah, they're crazy. So, but your version of it.
Yeah, I mean,
some semblance of it.
I feel like there could be the fact that there's so many connections here, so many things that are so similar. It's all about like, they caused war and then we had to battle them. We beat them. That's why there's none of them left. Like multiple cultures and religions
want to eat us.
They want to eat us. Yeah. Jack and the Beanstalk, his whole thing was just he wanted to eat our bones. That's exactly what the fucking Kandahar Giant was doing. He was eating bones. So, there's sometimes when there's smoke, there's fire. And I feel like this could be one of those.
There's chewing.
Well, exactly. You're the only one not going against the possibility of ancient giants. And I think you're a little biased because you want Big Rob to be the biggest guy who ever lived. I get it. That is actually so I understand. And thank you, Rob and Big Rob and all of the Robs out there for making this possible. And go answer this. Go to unbelieverspodcast.com, answer this week's poll, and let's tromp on. I don't know what to say. I haven't had to do anything.
Let's stomp along.
Stomp out of this. Sounds like buried in there is a song I already know, but there we go. Great song about giants to close out giants. Again, props, Rob. Great job assembling all the giant stuff. And I will say this, thinking of music, I want to give a little shout out to our music advisor, Chris. As of this recording, yesterday was her birthday, and
Happy birthday, Chris!
Happy birthday, Chris! And she did suggest at some point we use something from They Might Be Giants. Maybe that'll be the closing song. Maybe
I thought about it.
Maybe as we're reading, maybe the credit song will be something from They Might Be Giants. We shall see. But great job wrangling in the Giants is such a daunting topic. I'm glad that you wanted to tackle it and cover it in a great way, and you brought it all the way around. So major props. Way to get into it.
I didn't realize what I was biting into really when I picked that topic, but it was one of those things where like I felt like I had to tell the whole story, and I'm glad that we did. And thank you to the listeners for sitting and listening to the whole thing.
Hey, you did fantastic. And there's, who's to say we can't touch back on it in the future?
There's plenty more. I mean, I had some fun games that we were going to possibly play, but once we started hitting, we got close to 2 hours. I was like,
we'll save that for the live stream.
I don't think they're going to want to play any games with me right now. So
and what was that guy's name? It was Just Kidding Night. What was the guy's name?
Robert Wadlow. Is that who you're talking about?
No, not Big Rob. The other guy with the initials. We'll have
L.A. Marzulli.
L.A. Marzulli. There is L.A. Marzulli content that is now unlocked to us that we will cover on live streams, because I'm aware of some of his work, and it is pretty fun. So we will look into L.A. Marzulli for sure.
Hell yeah.
All right.
And yes, I can't wait.
Absolutely. Go answer this week's poll. But speaking of polls, let's get into poll results. This week's poll: what's the least dumb Christmas monster? And the choices were the Mary Lou, Mr. Punch, the Yule Goat, Colonel Sanders, and Mr. Bingle. I'm going to ask you, since you covered everything, Rob Okey, what do you think is the least dumb Christmas monster, since we were being nice?
I wish it was the most dumb, because I would have said Bingle, because he's just so dumb. But I don't know. The least dumb, I think, is the goat.
All right, Rob's
Christmas
going with the Yule Goat is the least dumb. And the fun,
cool.
The fun part about this, though, is that I still will find out what the dumbest one is with the least vote. So I will get my fix, too.
That's true.
But Drea Mora, who do you think is the least dumb Christmas monster?
Honestly, I have to say the same. The goat is the least dumb. It's the coolest.
Wow, congratulations. With 42% of the vote, the Yule Goat is the least dumb Christmas monster, and we covered it extensively on our live streams. Go follow us on YouTube. We were
an international hero or a goat.
Great poll there. And yes, the Yule Goat is the least dumb Christmas monster, but coming in with 0 votes is Mr. Punch, who
I've never
He's having a wee wee.
Mr. Punch, ironically, has become the dumbest Christmas monster. But of course, there are other. What is the least dumb Christmas monsters? Is that a Popeyes from Nunchuck Bob? Oh, I guess that may be a Colonel Sanders reference. But
yeah, definitely.
Is that a Popeyes?
Thank you, Nunchuck Bob. What is the least dumb Christmas monster? I'm the least dumb Christmas monster, and you would know that if you weren't a shite researcher. Signed, my name is Jeff. Oh, Jeff coming in, thinking he's the least dumb.
That's kind of mean.
I'm the least dumb Christmas monster, and you know that if you weren't a shite researcher. That's how he would have said it. Sorry, Jeff. It's been a little while since you chimed in. Thank you to...
My name is Jeff.
Thank you. My name is Jeff. What is the least dumb Christmas monster? Jalukotudurin. I've seen him around. Signed, Tycoon Titty Boy. Yes, this was definitely some kind of Swedish monster. I don't really know. Maybe it's...
Hvað getur þú sagt okkur daginn sem... Ég vaknaði morguninn og fór fram. Leit út gluggan.
Gluggan. Thank you, Tycoon Titty Boy. What's the least dumb Christmas monster? Right. A can of Pringles sat on the lap of Kris Kringle. When Mrs. reached in, she felt quite a tingle. For the can was bottomless, which surprised the missus when all she got was a handful of Mr. Bingle. I think I said that wrong. It is a Mr. Bingle reference here with.
I've never seen so many Mr. Bingles in one place.
You really bungled that Bingle rhyme.
And that is from the Damn Creeps. Thank you, the Damn Creeps. I'll give it another run through.
Oh, giving you Damn Creeps, huh?
A can of Pringles sat on the lap of Miss Kringle. When Mrs. reached in, she felt quite a tingle. For the can was bottomless, with surprise to missus when all she got was a handful of Mr. Bingle. Thank you, the Damn Creeps. What's the least
Hold up. Let me give him the creeps.
This place is giving me the freaking creeps.
Good job, the Damn Creeps. What's the least dumb Christmas monster? Look, People in other countries trick us into attacking them all the time. We're used to it, and we actually embrace it. Signed, Rus Ryan, host quotes. That was host quotes. That was host quotes coming. That was me talking about the Yule goat, about them tricking us into attacking the Yule goat.
That's pretty good. I'm glad you actually remember. Most of the time that host quotes comes in,
we don't remember. I actually remember that because I did like that line. So thank you, host quotes.
Rare.
What's the least dumb Christmas monster? It's definitely not your typical normal human male. I like to do typical normal human male things outside during the full moon, and I'm certainly not a monster. Sign, Luis P. Garup. Thank you, Luis P. Garup. Not suspicious at all. Thank you for chiming in.
Wait, hold on. All right, we'll get back to it.
What? That doesn't feel right to you.
Rob, suspicious. There's no clip for this, but I will put a pin in you. Thank you, Luis.
I could hit them. I can give them
Sure.
one if they want it. I can give them.
Do it.
I'm sure they do.
That's Loop Group, all right.
Thank you, Luis P. Garup. What's the least dumb Christmas monster? Santa is the mantis cup. Santa is the mantis cuck, always watching Huggins have sex with the larger women. Don't shoot the messenger. Signed, Whooping Hooper. Okay, Santa is the mantis cup.
He looked like a darn mantis.
Like a darn mantis. Thank you so much, Whooping Hooper.
But here, he wants to have sex with the large women.
This is one of the large women, and I had sex with this woman.
I forget about the larger women.
Good for him.
Very good. Very good. All right. I like it, Whooping Hooper. What is the least dumb Christmas monster? The George Norrie mustache monster. Look at that mouth. Signed, Rococo style. Oh, thank you, Rococo style.
Just look at it. Look.
Oh, man. All right. I guess we're going to give him a nori because he wants a nori.
It was the most scorching pizza stuff I have ever eaten.
Right, that has to do with the mouth too, because we have to
look at that mouth.
Look at that mouth.
Yes, thank you so much to the Rococo style, which embellished the building. What is the least dumb Christmas monster? Saving a little work. Thank you, Rococo style. What's the least dumb Christmas monster? Let's be real. Santa is the scariest Christmas monster. I'd be throwing up and filling my pants if that dude was in my house. Like, I don't even have a chimney. Signed, Nervous Unbeliever. Nervous Unbeliever thinks Santa is the scariest.
Look, they're not wrong.
They're not wrong, but this is
throwing up and filling my pants.
Thank you.
They're not wrong. It's just that's not the question. But thank you.
But it's a great reply. Thank you, Nervous Unbeliever.
Yes. Very good.
What's the least dumb Christmas monster? Mr. Bingle can suck my dingle. Signed, Nikki Blonsky from the movie Hairspray. Oh, thank you so much for chiming in, Nikki Blonsky.
Thank you for stopping by.
Everybody loves Mr. Bingle.
That's true because
So why do grown-ups continue to collect Mr. Bingle merchandise?
I don't know, Nikki Blonsky, but thank you for chiming in.
Know.
What's the least dumb Christmas monster? I'm sorry, I'm not a dirty man. I'm not a pervert either, like you. Signed, Lagoon Ladyboy, but that was actually from Giant Worms. That was just a quote we didn't read last time.
I'm not a dirty man. I'm not a pervert either, like you.
Wow.
No, that was from one of the lost tapes. One of the old Rus Ryan lost tapes.
That's from Patreon. Go follow the Patreon.
That's my buddy Rocky.
Patreon
that is my friend Rocky from when I was a kid. But that is actually
before the bladders got busted.
He's the one whose bladder got busted, and that is from the Giant Worms, though. So you won't come for this week, but wow, a lot of good ones this week. We had I'm the least dumb Christmas monster, and you would know that if you weren't a shy researcher. From My Name is Jeff. We had Jalo Kuling. I've seen him around from Tycoon Titty Boy. We had a can of Pringles sat on the lap of Kris Kringle. When Mrs. reached in, she felt quite a tinkle. For the can was bottomless, was surprised and Miss says when all she got was a handful of Mr. Bingle. I'm going to read. I'll stop reading them, but Drea, Mora, were there any that stood out to you this week?
That one.
Yeah.
That was the one that really, I put 5 stars next to that one when I typed it out.
Who wrote the Mr. Bingle soliloquy? Who did that?
Yeah.
That was the Damn Creeps with their Mr. Bingle limerick. I kind of appreciate that too. I also liked host quotes.
Plus the name. I love the Damn Creeps as a name. Yeah, host quotes always fun.
I know. Here's the other part of his name.
Oh, this place is giving you the damn creeps, huh? Why don't you cut out your whining, all right?
Oh, it's giving you the ding old creeps, huh?
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, why don't you shut up? And of course, we had host quotes with, look, people in other countries trick us into attacking them all the time. We're used to it. We actually embrace it. Okay, whatever. So many good ones. Thank you, Whooping Hooper, Rococo Style, Tycoon Titty Boy. Go to unbelieverspodcast.com and get in on these poll results. But I'm going to agree with you guys. Congratulations with a can of Pringles sat on the lap of Kris Kringle. When Mrs. reached in, she felt quite a tingle. For the can was bottomless. We're surprised to miss this when all she got was a handful of...
I've never seen so many Mr. Bingles in one place.
Congratulations, the damn creeps. You just won this week's poll results. All right, well, we have come to the end of the program. But before we go, you led this tonight, and you are doing it. Rob Okey, everything you want to say or plug?
Just go follow my Instagram at Rob Okey and follow the Patreon so you can get some of our behind the scenes jokes that we say. And I don't know, fucking go follow Drea, go follow Russ, follow everybody.
All right.
Follow everybody.
Yes, for sure. How about you, Drea? You got anything?
Yeah, I mean, I just, I'm on Instagram still at Best Drea Mora, and I'm going to be doing more stuff, I guess, creatively. So keep an eye on that. But no, other than that, I think Unbelievers podcast, they should probably follow that.
Definitely. Go follow Unbelievers.
That's my plug.
Go follow the Unbelievers podcast for sure. And yeah, I'll just plug my buddies Knights of Vader and my buddy Retro Josh. I will put a link to his our buddy Josh, who helps us a lot with stuff going on with the show.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah, I want to give a plug to our buddy Josh, who has a great YouTube channel where he covers all kind of great stuff. He definitely has a great video called Bruceploitation and the Bruce Lee clones. And he's also has a new video coming out soon about Italian cannibal horror films. It's Weird Cinema on YouTube at Weird Cinema 4393. Go check him out on YouTube and let's get him. He's very close to getting 1,000 followers on YouTube, 1,000 subscribers. So let's get him there. So that's for our buddy Josh. And that's it. The Unbelievers podcast host today were Drea Mora and me, Rus Ryan. Our producer and soundboard engineer is Rob Okey. Our editor is Issa YZ. You can check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Unbelievers podcast for monthly bonus episodes and so much more. You can follow the show on Twitter at Unbelievers Pod and Instagram at Unbelievers Podcast. Our Facebook group is the Unbelievable Podcast Network. Check out our merch store at TeePublic. There's a link in the description. Our music advisor is Pandora3373. Happy birthday. Our official composer and theme song creator is Unbeliever Aaron, aka Aaron Shilb. Follow him on Instagram at the Aaron Shilb. Our official graphic designer and card maker who designed our logo is Raymond Rowell. Check out his work at Holly Warren Art on Twitter and HollyWarren.com on the internet. Our official guardian of the bench is at Kraken Stacker. Official alien bopper is Nunchuck Bop. And for Patreon, our official reptilian at the post office is Postal Patty. Our official extraterrestrial woman still waiting for a hashtag rubbing heads to Transis Crescent Moon. Our official Reverend Doctor of the podcast is the non-Newtonian Druid. Our official Big Island Paranormal Friendly Weatherman is Green Finhawk. Our official procrastinator is Jeffrey Hartneriff. Our official Baby Yoda publicist is Pam Z. Our official Unbeliever listening between the stations for a message from Art Bell is Scott E. Our official Unbeliever raising puck wedgies is Joe Filler. Our official Madman is Unbeliever Adam. Our official Unbeliever time traveler is Taylor Nelson. Our official Ghost Hunter is Amelia Childs and Ghost Hanging in New England. Our official senior European correspondent is Kay Mill of the I Don't Know podcast. Our official paranormal art curator is Isis Haynes. Our official Rod is Rod Begley, OBOB. Our official Unbelievers in these titles are Mike Henry, Todd X, Liz Vicious, Sandra, Deborah Foles, Ramiro, Trash Baby, Adam Dvorak, Retro Josh. And this week's oh Jesus! And this week's it's been a long episode. Give me a break. And this week's Unbeliever Focus is Montesinos Josh, who recently asked for some book suggestions. He wants to know, hey, Unbelievers, what's got us reading? I of course recommended our favorite book, the Bible, but. Look, Josh, don't just skip and skim around. Make sure you start at
in the beginning. Yeah. In the beginning.
Good night.
Discontinue!